Good afternoon, morning, evening, whatever part of the day it is, wherever you are. Howdy, welcome to Robbo Land's vids. This is Disgracelands. I am Rob Wheatley. Oh, we've got that colour balance thing going again. Some of you like the orange glow. My Essex tan, my Essex Tango tan. And then it all goes insipid again, which is my natural colour. But there you go. How the devil are you? Thanks for all the comments on the last video and the well wishes and all that sort of stuff. We'll start there. I had my I had an assessment last week for various things to see if I'm still ludicrously insane enough for people to throw money at me, and I'm still waiting for the result on that. It was you know, it was a stressful experience as expected. Luckily, it didn't take too long, and the woman who did the assessment was rather hot. So you know, take it where you can get it, really. I came out there a bit flustered. I came out, it was in just 4 minutes away on the train and 2 minutes walk from here to the train, and then 2 minutes walk from the train at the other end to the assessment centre. But only one train an hour. So quite often these people that do these assessments will actually lean out the window and look and watch what you do when you leave to see if you're actually mental or whether you're putting it on. I don't know if they actually bother doing that with mine. I just suggested they looked at my YouTube videos. And then they should just throw loads and loads of money at me because there's no helping some people. But came out of there, and it's out of here. Some of you have seen that when I've done walks down the river and that here, and if I basically walk 2 minutes down that way out of Disgracelands, then I get to the station, and then there's a river, a path down the river, and that goes all the way to the edge of Colchester, which was where the assessment was. So I came out of the assessment, oh bloody hell, where the hell am I? Even though I used to work down that street and spend every day of my bloody life down there, I had no idea what was going on. Came out of there, turned left out the building instead of right, which the station was right, but thinking I've got an hour before the train comes, therefore I can probably walk home in 45 minutes. And I started walking down the road, turned the wrong way, out of the assessment centre first of all at the end of the road, realised I didn't know what the hell was going on, turned back left again, went down the road, found the river, which I knew was there because it's been there for thousands of years. It's a Roman river, so there's no reason for that to move. No one tells me these things, you know. And went for about a 5-minute walk up the river before I realised this is stupid. I've already got a bloody train ticket that they've even paid me for. I turned around and walked back to the station, very, very confused, hopped on a train and got home without any damage to my legs or brain, and then went into pretty much an enforced coma for the rest of the weekend due to the stress of dealing with all that a-holeness and mindfuckery and stuff like that. But yeah, thank you very much for all the well wishes. I did survive it. I've got to wait back between 2 and 6 weeks for the result to see if my money's being cut, or whether they're going to give me more money, or whether they're just going to run away screaming and say, you know, lock me in a box and say this man shouldn't be let out anyway, which I don't go out anyway because I'm agoraphobic, so that's, you know, that's a bonus. And yeah, so survived. I'm waiting, but I had some really good news. Good Twitch as well. I had some good news today. One of my old guitar students that I haven't seen since the end of last year, I think about October, November last year, she had other things to go and deal with, other real life things to go and deal with, and said that hopefully she'd be back early in the year. I didn't hear back and assumed that, you know, time passes, things change and all that sort of stuff. I assumed I wouldn't be seeing her again, but I just had an email from her mum today, and guitar lessons are kicking off again tomorrow morning. So really fortuitous timing, because if they do stop a bunch of my money, then that is obviously going to help fill in some gaps, so it's not all doom and gloom, although it's partly doom and gloom. And as a precursor to that, I've been rationing my, you know, my beers. I have to have a beer for the videos here, but I've been rationing the beers now, having quite a few days off drinking because I haven't really been enjoying it much recently, and I think I've been probably relying on it a little bit too much. You know, I have a history of drinking too much when I was quite a lot younger. There are all sorts of reasons and things that I could moan about, but you know, the truth is I enjoy a drink, and a few stages in my life I've had to really reel it back in to prevent major disasters, and it doesn't get to that stage anymore. You know, I don't really drink spirits, I don't really get hammered much since I stopped doing hangouts. Which is one of the reasons I stopped doing hangouts, and one of the reasons I stopped drinking so damn much, because I've watched myself back on those the day after and thought, oh dear, this is really not, you know, I can edit my own videos, I can't edit other people's, so there you go. But I've just been enjoying the drink a little bit too much, and you know, looking forward to it too much, and that's the time when I have to reel it back in. So it's just little tiny increments, there's no real damage done and things like that, and it's actually quite nice to have a, you know, clear head, just to see how that all works in reality. And the reality is, I don't much like reality, so you know, cheers. Roundabout way of saying beer of the day today is Adnams, I don't even know what it is. Let's have a look. I've got a thumb pick on there, let's make my thumb go red. It's Adnams Explorer. It's a good one to kick off the you know, the afternoon with, and I'm celebrating the fact that I've got a student tomorrow, and you know, that's nice to have. She's a great student, such a pleasant kid, and it's a real shame, you know, to lose contact for that amount of time, but really, really pleased she's back. She's a great student, and you know, one of those people that when they leave, they put, you know, you're in a positive mood just from seeing them. My students are all like that, actually. They're all amazing kids, but it's great. You know, they disappear, they go home, and I'm still on a high from the lesson, you know, for the next few hours, which is really cool. So on top of that, I have some final mastering to do tomorrow before Blaze comes back at the weekend on Saturday. And I've mentioned this before, hopefully we're going to put all the tracks, once they're mastered, in the correct order and see what we've got as an album, and then work on the album title and things like that. So that's all to look forward to. So I've got a busy day tomorrow. Guitar lesson at 11 AM. Whoa, major twist again. 11 AM, and then that'll set me up nicely for the day. That'll put me in a good musical frame of mind, and that'll encourage me just to get on and get these, I think it's 4 tunes that need mastering, and there shouldn't really be any difficulty with any of those. We've got the process pretty much sorted now, and I'll have more news on that when we hear it. Good, when we have it, when I hear it, when I've decided what the news is. When me and Blaze have made the news up, we'll let you know what it is. Oh god, fake fucking news, man. This is fake news. This is how it works. I don't know if you're aware, I'm a big Formula 1 racing fan, and we had the British Grand Prix, Silverstone Grand Prix, one of the biggest events of the year, certainly in terms of crowd numbers. And we have a driver called Lewis Hamilton, who's, a lot of people can't stand him. I don't know why. They're obviously not sports fans, they're just bloody idiots, but he's an amazing driver. He's broken all sorts of records and things like this. And a couple of days before the Grand Prix, they had a live event in London where they had loads of Formula 1 cars, loads of Formula 1 teams screaming around a very small part of the city of London. Now, it wasn't announced to the public until the day before because of potential terrorist threats and all this sort of bollocks. But all of the drivers on the grid, 19 out of the 20 drivers, turned up, apart from one, which was Lewis Hamilton. And he, being a British driver, his family originally from Grenada, he's British through and through. He's very down-to-earth lad, you know, despite all the gold chains and the backward baseball caps and the hippity-hoppity bullshit. But he's a good dude, and he didn't turn up. Basically, he decided that he was going to go and take a break of a couple of days, bugger off to Greece and just holiday it up and just do the best preparation he can. And he came back and absolutely stormed the race. Qualifying, he was 0.7 of a second faster than than the next car, which is insane. 7/10. I mean, that's, you know, that seems like that's far, but that's an eon in Formula 1 racing. And then he just drove an amazing race and just blitzed it, and that's his 5th British Grand Prix win, which is equalled the record, I think, what was it, Jim Clark's record of 4. But anyway, there had been a story in the press, and the headline went, Lewis Hamilton looking to leave Mercedes, furious with his boss. That's why he didn't turn up to the London event, because he is furious with his boss, because his boss went to a rival's birthday party. He went to the Ferrari driver Sebastian Vettel's birthday party. And in the previous race, Hamilton and Vettel had a bit of a coming together. Well, Vettel had driven into him. threw his toys out the pan and drove in with just a love tap, just saying, oh, I'm here, mate, get the bloody hell out of my way. But there was all this hoo-ha. And the big story was, the headline was, Lewis Hamilton furious with his team boss for going to Sebastian Vettel's birthday party, which is why he didn't turn up at the British event and why he's going to leave Mercedes this year and go to Ferrari. this headline, the whole story, was imagined in the head of some absolute raving twat whose name is James McAvoy. If you're watching this, fuck off, you're not welcome on my fucking videos. He's not watching this, he's a reporter for the Daily Mail, which is a form of arse wipe that you get with words or some form of words written on it. Wipe your arse with it, throw it in a bin. It's one of these so-called newspapers where the immigrants are to blame for everything, you know. Brexit, all about immigrants. Pound falling, all about immigrants, you know. Herpes, all the bloody immigrants, you know. People leaving Britain, oh, it's the immigrants. People coming to Britain, oh, it's just everything's immigrants, you know. Great British Bake Off gets taken off BBC One and put on Channel 4 and Mel and Sue leave. Bloody immigrants! You know, it's not worth reading, it's just not even worth mentioning. So he came up with this story based on absolute horseshit, which is what his bloody mind's full of, and that was the story, a headline. And you get the BBC Formula 1 website printing it in there, goes, oh, Hamilton's furious with his boss. You know, no one actually asked Lewis Hamilton what he thought, why he didn't turn up. No one actually asked Toto Wolff, the boss of Mercedes, why he went to Vettel's party. Simple answer, because he lives just next door to me and we've been friends for years, and you know, what happens on track stays on track, and we're a community and we like to let our hair down and party. And when Lewis Hamilton was asked that question by the author of that, we won't call it a news story, that stinking pile of horse shite, Hamilton just laughed and just said, you know what, that's the most bloody ridiculous question I think I've ever heard in a news conference, and basically applauded the guy for being such a twat. Fake news. It doesn't just affect people with bad hair pieces. Mind you, if you've seen Lewis Hamilton's hair, what the hell's going on with that? Who knows? But anyway, Hamilton came back, stormed the race. Absolutely phenomenal. We need to keep the British Grand Prix at Silverstone. Liberty Media, if you're watching this, you're not watching this because you're multi-billionaires flying around the world on Learjets. You know, but if you were, for example, we have to keep Silverstone Grand Prix. It's an absolute icon. It's where pretty much all of the teams, apart from Ferrari and Sauber, are based in that area. Britain is the home of motorsport. That's a bloody fact. You know, that's a fact. That's where all, you know, that's it. And Silverstone is the heart of British motor racing, and it needs to stay on the calendar. I mean, do you really want a street race through London? I don't know. I mean, just no. Because Silverstone, people go to it and they camp out like for 4 days, 5 days. It's like a music festival with a motor race thrown in. And I don't think you'd be able to do that if you're in the centre of London. I mean, you know, camping spaces, you fall asleep on a park bench, you get your legs broken and thrown in a cell. So, you know, worth thinking about. Fake news, don't go there. Bill, guitar struggles. Man, you just did a video on the Faraday cage and how, you know, people are so stupid they can't realise it unless they're absolutely forced not to text and drive their car, that they won't do it. It works. I don't drive, but I walk places, you know. That sort of thing. If people remember what walking was, it's like that with your legs. There's one, there's another. You know, you do that with them, and you move forward or back or side to side. And the amount of people that walk down the pavement, or the sidewalk you call it in America because you're crazy, with their phone like this, you know, and they'll just walk straight into you. And so I have a great tactic, tic-tac tactic, which is where when we're about this far from each other, I shout in a loud voice, "Eyes up!" And they almost drop their phone. Half of them will probably shit themselves, or at least do a major fart that they, you know, really won't want to remember. You know, probably a bit more than the fart. Probably got a lumpy fart. That fart's got lumps in. Well, I wrote a song called that years ago, and you're never going to hear it probably, but you know. Eyes up, it's a good one. Eyes up, and you just carry on walk round them, and they're just, and you know, they've just sent the wrong emoji to someone. That's how important it really is. So keep your bloody eyes open, show some respect for other people. You're not the only fucking person walking around out there or driving around there. You know, if you really want to kill yourself in a car, just drive it off a cliff. You know, don't drive it down the road looking into a phone, because you'll kill other people, and that's not very nice, you know. But if you want to thin the gene pool out, start with yourselves, alright? Don't text and drive. Don't text, don't drive. Better for the environment as well. Anyway, look what I've got here. I've got an Epiphone. Mercurial number 6 is an Epiphone. And this, I believe, is a 19... I chucked the serial number into the Epiphone date thing today, and I got a date with a casino. We're going out for dinner in 2 days' time. Should be lovely. No, but this one, because it's got an 05 in it, they say it's either 85 or 95 or 05. Given when I bought it in the condition, I think it's a 1995 Samick built. And this is just direct monitored with no effects, no nothing. It's just going through tiny little computer speakers, front pickup, front bottom. Sounds alright, doesn't it? Front pickup, back pickup. And this thing plays blap. That was my speakers farting. I've got a bit too much on there. This didn't cost me anything really, because I bought a whole bunch of stuff. I bought this guitar, an amp, and a load of pedals, sold all the pedals. Made more than enough money to pay for the amp, pay for the guitar, and give someone 50 quid on top of the money they lent me to buy the guitar and the amp and the pedals in the first place. Business transaction, you see. Everyone's a winner. Not done anything whatsoever to this. A couple of the pots down here are a little bit dodgy now, the tone pots, but who bloody hell uses tone pots, or volume pots for that matter? Crank it up, you know, rock out. Just a fantastic guitar. This is probably my, if I was playing live, this would probably be the go-to guitar I'd take, because it just plays brilliantly, it feels brilliant, everything just spot on. Obviously it's not a, you know, a several £1,000 Gibson, and if someone gave me one of those and I played one right next to it right now, I'm sure I'd hear a massive difference, and I would, you know, I wouldn't give the Gibson back. But I haven't got one, and I really couldn't care less, because I've never ever been in a situation where I felt this guitar wasn't doing what I wanted. And surely that's really quite a good gauge of how useful a guitar is. If it does everything you throw at it, and it does it well, and you have no complaints, and it makes you happy, it's worth having, isn't it? There you go. I'm going to take it off direct monitor here. Oh, hang on. Hang on. And put it through here, just with a bit of, I don't even know what we got here. Going for Amp Line Pro, got some amplifier, got a compressor, got a basic overdrive. I'm trying to think what it is. The yellow Boss overdrive, whichever one that is. I can't. Nothing wrong with that. In fact, the only mod I do a mod is I switch this so it goes horizontally rather than vertically, because I'm always bashing it when I'm not on camera. So that's the mod I do on all Les Pauli style guitars, because that just you know, my thumb or something's going up, or my nose or my chin or something, or my nipples get too excited, they stick out and bang. You know, what can you do? But I'm really looking forward to seeing and hearing these little 99 quid Epiphone, what are they called? SLs, I think they're called. One that Mercurial number 6 was going on about. These little 99 quid, really cheap, probably Chinese built, non-carved top, bolt on neck, 2 single coils. So almost, you know, it's sort of a bit like a single coil version of a, you know, cut down basic guitar. Is it a Gibson Telecaster or a SG with single coils? A couple of my students have actually got the cheap Chinese Epiphone Les Pauls, and I think they're bloody awesome guitars. They've got character, which is what you often don't find in cheap guitars, and these things just bark. I've said before, they've just got this mid-range, and they're awesome, and they're not expensive, and I came very close to buying one just before I got the Ovation, but kept hold of the money. Bought the Ovation a couple of weeks earlier instead, and you know, very happy with that. But I'm looking forward to these. I mean, 99 quid, it makes you wonder what the hell they're made of. The tunes are probably going to be quite awful, but actually, you know what, on these Chinese Epis that my students have got, there's nothing wrong with them. They stay in tune. The only thing that I've found with them is that straight out the box the action can be a little challenging, but it's just, you know, on the bridge end. That's all you've got to do is take the bridge end down and you're there. But they're playable. And I guess better to have a slightly high action if you're a complete beginner to a guitar, having a high action where everything at least rings out, rather than an action that's set so down low that everything buzzes and you've got a guitar out of the box that you can't play, especially if you're a beginner, because you're going to be doing most of your stuff down this end anyway, initially. But I think they're tremendous guitars, and it's actually, you know, I'm thinking about getting an SG as a next guitar. But as always with guitars, I see the, you know, the 120 quid model and think that'll do, I want that, I've heard that, and then you think, oh, there's a 180 quid model, maybe that's a bit better. Oh, there's a 250, oh hang on, there's a 370 quid, oh, and very soon you're looking at sort of, you know, 900 quid, 800 quid for a real thing. But I'm going to keep it cheap because, you know, I am, and we'll have more news on that when it happens. Look, before I go, I'm just going to, you know, wanted to catch up and say thank you very much for all the well wishes on that last one. Say things are good. With this student coming back, that taken away some of the stress about me potentially losing this 20 quid a week from this PIP thing, whatever it was, disability living allowance, whatever it is. It's you know, it doesn't sound a lot, 20 quid a week, 30 you know, 25, $26 a week, but it's £1,000 a year, and that's what pays for my electricity bills over here. It keeps everything running, and you know, keeps the place warm in the winter. So before I go, I have this and a question for some of you. It's a guitar one of my students has got, and it's an old guitar. He doesn't play. He actually plays the SG now, but this is one he just wanted to get done up and probably sell. It's just an encore. It's a really cheap, you know, basic sort of Les Pauly style, but bolt on neck and very slim body and that. But what it's got going on, and you've probably seen this before, is, I don't even know if I'll be able to show you, on the front pickup here. Well, you know when you got the, oh, shut it. You got the height adjuster screws here, and they go through a little they got a spring on the bottom, and then they go through a little piece of metal that's bent underneath the pickup. Now, because they use obviously really cheap quality components in a lot of sort of cheaper guitars, they're the things that really wear. And it's the fact that the screw, you know, this screw that would go through there, through the spring. There you go, you can actually see it there. There it is, there's the one. That thing, that little tab there, yeah? The hole's just got too big. The hole's too big, and every time I try and screw it in, it just falls out. What's a quick fix? Obviously, I suppose I could just get another screw and get a nut, but you've got to get ones that fit and that work and that are the right length and the right thing and all that. I don't have any in my bag of bits here. I was thinking of putting an old piece of metal gauze. I've got some old metal gauze, really tight metal gauze. I'm thinking of gluing that on the side and whether that would hold the thing in, maybe even cut the spring down. It doesn't have to be height adjustable. I think he's just, you know, hoping to get it done up and maybe even get, you know, sell the guitar. I'm not quite sure what he's going to do with it. You know, I'd try and encourage him to keep it and put it in open tuning or something like that and have another, you know, another thrashy guitar. But that's what it is. Any really easy solutions using everyday household objects and very few tools. You know, I'm talking super glue, PVA glue, wood glue, you know, sellotape, bits of wire, bits of guitar string, and all the bits of shite that you collect when you're a guitar player and having a little plastic box like this over the years. Any ideas? I'll be really grateful to, you know, anyone's got a quick fix on that. Don't want to spend any time, don't want to spend any money on it. It's just a real, you know, if I'm doing a 10-minute job, then fantastic. I did actually try gluing a plastic clip on the back and then shoving the screw through that, and the whole thing just... So something along those lines would probably work, but if you have a tip for it, do let me know, because I'd be interested. It'd be great to get this guitar back up and running and get it back to Joey, and, you know, he can sell it and buy some more pedals. You always got to have some more pedals, haven't you? So, righty ho! Bloody hell, this is over half at almost 600 blooming gigaboogers, which means it's probably going to take between now and November to upload this video. So, Merry Christmas. I'll see you on the next one. Take care. Bye.